long before towers of glass pierced the clouds, and cities hummed with mortal ambition, the wide sky was a library of legends. Among its brightest stories was a bird born of dawn itself, a creature whose feathers sang with heat, the phoenix. It was said that when centuries weighed down its wings, it would enter the sacred fire, surrender to ash, and rise anew, brighter, stronger, endlessly reborn. This was the rhythm of its kind, as sure as sunrise. Generations measured time by its cycle. Feathers dulled, embers cooled, and then fire again. The phoenix's renewal was not a death, but a promise honored. Through deserts and mountains, through storm and stillness, it carried the memory of every burning and every rising. The world trusted the pattern. Light yields to dusk, dusk yields to flame, and flame returns as morning. But once a single phoenix broke the pattern. When the season of surrender neared and her golden flight began to dim, she felt a shiver, not of chill, but of refusal. She remembered the cries of those who had fallen into the fires before her. Though they had risen, the echo of their release unsettled her. And so, against the tide of tradition, she turned her face from the flame. She wondered in the quiet between wing beats, why must I burn to live again? Why must renewal ask for pain? Her mind became a hive of what-ifs and not-yets. With every dawn, she rehearsed a small defiance. If I avoid the fire, perhaps I will stay as I am. Perhaps the sky will forgive me this one refusal, and the years will pass like gentle wind. As she soared above deserts and mountain spines, brilliant and proud, yet every year a shade less bright. Colour slid from her feathers like sun from evening cliffs. The air felt heavier. Her song softened to a thread of sound. She told herself again and again, in a whisper only she could hear, I am fine. I do not need the fire. And the echo inside her grew quiet enough to believe. When the burning sun rose and her kin descended toward their appointed blaze, she climbed instead into a vault of cloud. There, wrapped in grey and cool, she hid from the pull of destiny. Below, forests withered and were reborn, rivers shifted their paths, and seasons traded places with grace. The earth changed as it always does. She alone did not. Time became her cage, elegant and invisible. Once she was the brightest flame in the firmament. Now she was a silhouette against the dusk of herself. Each wing beat asked for more than she could easily give. She perched on a cold mountain peak and watched the sun set into its bed of fire. Its warmth had once called her home. Now it only reminded her of what she would not choose. One night, a small bird landed beside her. No blaze, no glory, just a trembling life with a thin thread of warmth. It tilted its head and studied the faded shimmer. In a voice as simple as frost, it asked why the once radiant bird had dimmed. She answered, bitter as winter, that she had learned to survive without pain. The small one replied that survival without living was not survival at all. A single golden feather loosened, drifted, and turned to dust before it touched stone. Years layered upon years. Her reflection in mountain water no longer glittered. It only wavered like a memory. The sky still held her, but less easily, and the winds that once lifted her now felt like obligations. One dawn, she looked east and saw the horizon torn open with red. Across the valley, a column of flame rose, pure, golden, and old as promise. The sacred fire had returned. The sight struck her like a bell. Somewhere beneath the weariness, a tremor of recognition moved. The flame did not threaten. It beckoned, singing the same quiet invitation it had offered to every ancestor. A voice within that fire seemed to murmur, "It is time." But fear, older than memory, spoke louder. If you enter, you will end. You will vanish into heat and nothingness. The old question rose from her chest like smoke. Why must renewal wound me first? Why must the path to life pass through a valley of ash? The flame's answer was not thunder, it was truth, steady and clear. You cannot rise while clinging to what has already burned. What you guard is not you, it is your shadow. Release it, and you will find your light again. She stood at the edge of choice. There was no audience, no chorus of approval, only sky and fire and the trembling of her tired heart. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in centuries surrendered. Wings that had resisted for so long opened in full measure. With a single breath, part prayer, part leap, she dove into the golden light. Fire met feather, heat met history, pain met peace. The sound that rose from her was not the cry of destruction, but the long, unwinding sound of release, like chains dropping from stone. Pride blistered, fear curled, doubt blackened at the edges. The names she had given herself, the stories she had clung to, the brightness she had feared to lose, all of it surrendered to the cleansing hunger of flame. Then came the quiet. Embers whispered their soft language to the wind. Smoke lifted its grey veil and thinned into morning. Where once a radiant creature had stood, there was only a cradle of ash, still warm from the undoing. No spectacle, no grand proclamation, just the holy pause that follows true letting go. At first light, something stirred. A heartbeat tapped faintly under the soot, gentle as rain on leaves. Then a spark, small, insistent, alive. From within the ash, a new form gathered itself, the way dawn gathers colours. Wings unfolded, not yet certain of their breadth, and a head lifted into the air that had once seemed a threat. A phoenix emerged, golden, unscarred, light pouring from every barb of every feather. She drew a breath. The air, once suspect, tasted sweet and clean, full of wildflowers and mountain snow. She rose on a thermal like a hymn given wings. The world below, forests, rivers, shifting sands, looked new. Not because it had changed in a single night, but because she had. From great height she cried out in triumph, and the cry was a promise. Not to flee the fire again, but to honour the cycle that made her whole. We carry the same spark. We are born with a fire meant to free us, yet we shrink from the very heat that would unmake what must be unmade. We cling to comforts, to versions of ourselves long since cooled to ash, to the illusion that safety lies in sameness. But every season calls us to newness, and every newness asks for a letting go. Renewal keeps its covenant with those who step forward. The bird that once refused to burn teaches this. The flame is not your enemy. The flame is your becoming. There are parts of you that must end so the rest of you can begin. When the horizon reddens and the old ways tremble, do not run. Walk toward the heat that calls you by your true name. Step into it. Let go. Breathe and rise.